Imagine the following: a global superpower needed a flying fortress capable of crossing the skies of the planet without being seen, penetrating the world's most advanced defenses without anyone noticing, without triggering a single war alarm. Like a ghost, it had to appear out of nowhere, unleash hell on its enemies with 20-ton destructive payloads, and vanish without a trace. Well, that's exactly what the Americans did. The colossal B-2 Spirit, the deadliest stealth bomber ever built. An aircraft that cost $2 billion, making it the most expensive airplane in history, and that revolutionized aerial warfare to the point of completely rewriting the rules of modern combat. But ask yourself, how? How can a gigantic plane with a wingspan of 50 meters and a weight over 100 tons be invisible to radar? How can it infiltrate enemy territory undetected? Northrop Grumman had to invent all its components from scratch, from tools to innovative military composites. The construction of this aircraft involved processes never before used, making the B-2 one of the most ambitious projects ever undertaken. And beyond its presence on the battlefield, the B-2 also became an icon, a movie star. Whenever Hollywood needed a super bomber to face an alien invasion or global threat, its unmistakable silhouette appeared in movies like Independence Day, Armageddon, Iron Man 2, and Cloverfield. But its story goes beyond technology and cinema. In real missions, it was a destroyer. It flew for over 31 uninterrupted hours to reach multiple targets halfway across the world. And when it returned home, it had forever changed the way wars would be fought. Today we'll dive into the secret history of the B-2 Spirit, from its Cold War origins, through the hidden secrets in its fuselage, to its advanced engineering and combat missions. A plane born in the past, but that lived in the future. Part 1. Tension in the air. By the late 1970s, the world was on the brink of nuclear annihilation. The Cold War had turned the planet into a massive chessboard, where any false move could mean the end of civilization. The United States and the Soviet Union weren't just stockpiling nuclear weapons, they were perfecting their attack and defense strategies. As geopolitical tension grew, pop culture reflected this global uncertainty. In cinema, films like Star Wars, A New Hope, and Apocalypse Now captured both escapist fantasy and the brutality of modern warfare. Espionage and the clash between superpowers were recurring themes in productions like '07, The Spy Who Loved Me. In sports, the rivalry between the United States and the USSR extended to the Olympic Games and to chess, with the historic showdown between Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky in the 1972 World Championship still remembered as a symbol of ideological conflict. At the same time, aviation was undergoing a revolution. In commercial skies, the Boeing 747 dominated intercontinental routes, ushering in an era of long-range, high-capacity flights. Airlines were expanding operations and making air travel more accessible to the global population. And in the military realm, the technology race was intensifying. The United States was testing the F-15 Eagle and the F-16 Fighting Falcon, fighters that were extremely agile and advanced for the time. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union responded with the MiG-25 Foxbat, one of the fastest jets ever built, and began developing the Su-27 Flanker, which would become one of the world's most respected fighters. As dogfighting evolved into increasingly dynamic air battles, anti-aircraft defenses also advanced rapidly. Systems like the Soviet S-200 extended the reach of surface-to-air missiles, turning enemy airspace into a virtual minefield for large aircraft. The domination of the skies, once guaranteed by the United States, was now in check. Traditional bombers like the B-52 Stratofortress, once untouchable, had become easy targets. For decades, the B-52 Stratofortress had symbolized American air power. These towering giants, armed with nuclear warheads, flew constant patrols over the Arctic and Mediterranean skies, ready to respond to any Soviet aggression and deliver large-scale destruction. But by 1975, that superiority began to crumble. The Soviets had improved their air defense systems to the point where B-52s could no longer cross enemy territory without being shot down. Rather than trying to win the game through brute force, the Americans would need to change the rules entirely. The next generation of bombers couldn't just be powerful, they had to be invisible. With that in mind, the Advanced Technology Bomber Program was born. It was a secret initiative with one ambitious goal: to build a stealth bomber capable of slipping through enemy defenses like a ghost. Since the Soviets relied on radar to detect and intercept aircraft, the next bomber would simply need to outsmart them by becoming undetectable. But how do you make an aircraft invisible? How do you hide a plane 50 meters wide and over 100 tons from the world's most advanced sensors? The idea was so bold, it seemed like science fiction. Many engineers believed total stealth was impossible. However, the answer had been buried in the past. Part 2. The idea. Decades before the Spirit became a concept, a visionary engineer named Jack Northrop had conceived a revolutionary idea: the flying wing, an aircraft with no tail or traditional fuselage, designed to maximize aerodynamics and minimize drag. In 1946, that concept became reality with the YB-49, an experimental bomber that looked like it came from the future. However, without the technology needed to keep it stable, the YB-49 was almost impossible to control. As a result, the project was abandoned and all aircraft were destroyed in 1949. But nearly 30 years later, the Pentagon turned its attention back to that forgotten idea. This time, technology could finally bring Northrop's vision to life. In 1978, the Department of Defense awarded Northrop Corporation the contract to develop a new bomber based on the flying wing design. Now, decades later, computational advancements would offer a new chance to develop a truly stealth bomber. Nothing about the B-2 could be conventional, from its materials to its propulsion system, down to the very shape of the aircraft. Everything had to align with the primary goal: making the plane virtually invisible to radar and other detection systems. To achieve this, several fundamental steps were taken. 1. The invisible shield. One of the first challenges was to minimize the aircraft's radar signature as much as possible. To do this, engineers developed composite materials capable of absorbing or scattering radar waves, instead of reflecting them back to their source. The B-2's fuselage was built almost entirely out of carbon fiber, graphite, and other classified materials, making it far less reflective than traditional metal alloys. Additionally, the plane was coated with a special layer of polymers and classified substances capable of dispersing radar energy. This stealth coating had to be reapplied regularly to maintain its effectiveness. 2. The wing shape. The flying wing design wasn't chosen just for aerodynamic reasons. It was also key to stealth. Flat or angular surfaces tend to reflect radar signals directly back to their origin, making detection easier. Instead, the B-2's shape was designed to scatter those electromagnetic waves, making them nearly useless to conventional radars. Without a tail or prominent fuselage, the B-2 has no vertical surfaces that could reflect radar waves. Every angle of its structure was engineered to deflect enemy signals and avoid detection. 3. The brain of the B-2. There was a major problem: tailless flying wings are extremely unstable. That design doesn't provide directional stability, meaning a bomber of that size should be practically impossible to fly. To solve this, the B-2 was equipped with an advanced fly-by-wire system that makes constant micro-adjustments to flight controls in order to keep the aircraft stable. Without this system, the plane would wobble uncontrollably and be impossible to manage. These onboard computers work in real time, analyzing wind, aircraft position, and pilot input to ensure the B-2 remains smooth in flight. The system is so sensitive and precise that the aircraft can fly with surgical accuracy even on extremely long missions. 4. Engine concealment. Another major issue was thermal signature. Conventional jet engines emit intense heat, making them easy targets for infrared-guided missiles. In the B-2, the solution was radical. The engines were hidden inside the fuselage, with air intakes placed above the wings rather than below. Additionally, the exhaust gases passed through cooling ducts before being released, significantly lowering their temperature. This makes it nearly impossible to detect the B-2 with conventional thermal sensors. 5. Precision engineering. Building the B-2 demanded unprecedented precision. If even a single part was misaligned by a few millimeters, the aircraft could become visible to radar. To prevent this, engineers developed highly advanced tools and assembly processes. along with three-dimensional modeling systems never before used in the aerospace industry. Each fuselage panel was designed to be as smooth as possible, avoiding edges or joints that could reflect radar signals. Rivets, common in conventional aircraft, were eliminated wherever possible and replaced by seamless joints to maintain a completely smooth surface. To guarantee its unmatched performance, the B-2 Spirit is powered by 4 General Electric GE100 engines, producing a combined thrust of 308 kilonewtons. Without afterburners, these engines were designed to operate quietly and reduce thermal signature, an essential factor in avoiding detection by enemy infrared sensors. The bomber reaches a top speed of 1,010 kilometers per hour and maintains a cruising speed of 900 kilometers per hour. Its operational altitude reaches up to 15,200 meters, and it has a range of 11,000 kilometers without aerial refueling, enough to fly from New York to Moscow. That range can be extended indefinitely through mid-air refueling. The B-2's crew consists of just 2 pilots, a commander and a mission officer, who operate the aircraft from a highly advanced cockpit with over 130 onboard computers. The fully digital fly-by-wire system allows for precise control of the aircraft. Inside the cockpit, pilots use multifunction displays, a head-up display, and advanced navigation and attack systems, including celestial navigation technology that allows them to operate even without GPS support. Its arsenal includes both conventional and nuclear bombs, allowing it to destroy anything from underground strategic targets to widely dispersed enemy forces. Among its weapons are GPS-guided bombs such as the GBU-31, GBU-32, and GBU-38, weighing from 227 to 907 kilograms, and the devastating GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, a 15-ton bunker-busting bomb capable of destroying deeply buried targets. It can also carry nuclear weapons, such as the B-61 Mod 11, with a penetrating nuclear warhead for underground targets, and the high-yield B-83 nuclear bomb, ensuring its role in strategic deterrence. Part 3. The Ghost Rises. When it was unveiled to the public on November 22, 1988, the B-2 Spirit looked like a futuristic vision straight out of a science fiction film. The highly classified bomber made its official world debut at Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, emerging from the hangar under intense secrecy and speculation. With its flying wing design, advanced materials, and stealth technology, the B-2 Spirit revolutionized aerial warfare. Its fuselage confused radars, absorbed electromagnetic waves, and blocked detection systems. With a radar signature 1,000 times smaller than the B-52's, it became virtually invisible to conventional air defenses. The aircraft demonstrated exceptional maneuverability, stability, and flight precision, proving that all the applied engineering wasn't just theory, it could actually fly. And for the first time in history, the sky had a ghost. In addition to the inaugural flight, Northrop Grumman built 2 more aircraft without engines or instruments to conduct fatigue tests. Engineers installed computer-controlled, hydraulically activated plates across the fuselage to simulate all flight conditions. They estimated the structure would withstand 150% of design specifications, but the wing endured more than 161% before finally fracturing. The first production B-2s also underwent extensive environmental testing. In 1993, the Spirit of Ohio endured over 1,000 hours of temperature trials at the McKinley Climatic Laboratory, Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, exposed to temperatures ranging from -65 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, as well as rain and high humidity. To validate the results outside the lab, the Spirit of Ohio was sent to Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska in March of 1996 for additional cold weather testing. As a symbol of those trials, technicians painted the artwork "Fire and Ice" on the front landing gear panel and signed it. After years of development and testing, the company delivered the first operational B-2 to the United States Air Force on December 17, 1993. Since then, the bomber has been based at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, where it has been integrated into global strategic missions and established its place as the most advanced and lethal bomber in modern history. However, this technology came at an astronomical cost. Each B-2 unit cost $2 billion, more than the GDP of some small countries. The high cost is due to advanced technology, ultra-secret materials, and the need for constant maintenance, including the reapplication of its stealth coating. Only 21 units were built, making it one of the most exclusive aircraft in the world. The B-2 Spirit enters combat. The B-2 Spirit finally entered combat in the late 1990s to justify its enormous investment. Its operational debut occurred during Operation Allied Force in the Kosovo War of 1999. Two B-2s took off from Whiteman Air Force Base and flew for over 31 hours non-stop to strike strategic targets in the former Yugoslavia. Although they made up less than 1% of all coalition missions, the B-2s destroyed 33% of critical targets in the first 8 days of combat, a disproportionate impact given their small numbers. The bomber's effectiveness was unquestionable. Each B-2 could carry up to 16 JDAMs, guided bombs that ensured surgical precision. Its stealth capability allowed it to penetrate enemy defenses undetected, strike targets, and return unharmed. During the operation, the B-2 destroyed underground bunkers, command and control centers, air defense systems, and strategic bridges, destabilizing Serbian forces without a single enemy anticipating or reacting to the attack. The B-2 versus the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. After the September 11th attacks in 2001, the United States launched Operation Enduring Freedom to eliminate the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. The B-2 was one of the first weapons deployed, showcasing its global strike capability. Stealth bombers took off directly from the US, flew over the Pacific Ocean, crossed the Middle East, and launched devastating attacks on Afghanistan, returning without stopping after more than 44 hours in flight. These were the longest combat missions in aviation history. They targeted bunkers, terrorist bases, and cave hideouts using JDAMs for precision strikes, and even bunker-busting GBU-37 bombs, capable of destroying underground fortifications where Al-Qaeda leaders were hiding. Initial attack on Saddam's house. In 2003, the Spirits played a vital role in the invasion of Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom. On the first night of the conflict, 3 BT Bayous departed from Whiteman Air Force Base and flew around the globe for over 30 hours, striking strategic targets in Baghdad before landing on Diego Garcia Island in the Indian Ocean for refueling and maintenance. They were responsible for precision attacks on underground bunkers, suspected WMD sites, and government facilities of Saddam Hussein. Some of these missions were known as decapitation strikes, designed to eliminate Saddam himself and his leadership in surprise attacks. Although the Iraqi leader initially escaped, Iraq's military infrastructure was dismantled even before the ground invasion began. Destruction of Gaddafi's air defenses. During NATO's intervention in Libya in 2011, the B-2 Spirit played a decisive role in the opening offensive. 3 stealth bombers took off from the United States, crossed the Atlantic, and destroyed a Libyan airbase that housed sophisticated air defenses and fighter jets loyal to Muammar Gaddafi's regime. In a single raid, the BTUs dropped 45 high-precision guided bombs, neutralizing the threats without encountering resistance. That mission once again proved that no conventional air defense could stop a stealth B-2 attack, ensuring coalition air superiority over Libya. The final blow to a terrorist stronghold. In 2017, the B-2 Spirit was used to strike a large ISIS training base in Libya, one of the group's final strongholds. 2 B-2s traveled from the US to Libya and dropped 108 precision bombs on fortified facilities, destroying camps and terrorist positions. Once again, they demonstrated overwhelming force, leveling enemy structures without defenses, reaffirming their role as the ultimate weapon for strategic target suppression. After decades of successful operations, the B-2 Spirit has solidified its reputation as one of the most feared aircraft in the world. Its mere presence on the battlefield is enough to force enemies to change their strategies. Many targets have been abandoned and defenses deactivated simply due to rumors that a B-2 was in the area, demonstrating its psychological power over adversary forces as well. Its unique silhouette and proven stealth are instantly recognized by enemies on the battlefield and in popular culture. Part 4. The Legacy. The B-2 cemented its place in history as the most advanced and stealthy bomber ever built. However, its complexity and operational costs have always posed challenges for the United States Air Force. The Spirit requires up to 36 hours of maintenance between flights, a logistical effort involving highly specialized technicians and climate-controlled hangars. Its stealth surface, composed of sensitive materials, must be kept cool to ensure radar invisibility, requiring facilities with strict temperature control. These demands limit, for example, the locations from which the B-2 can operate. Its main base at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri is 38 hours from Iraq, requiring 4 to 5 aerial refuelings for missions in the Middle East. In addition to Whiteman, the B-2 can operate from Anderson Air Force Base in Guam and from RAF Fairford in England, strategic locations in the event of a potential attack on adversaries like North Korea. Although it has never been shot down in combat, the B-2 has suffered losses in accidents. In 2008, one Spirit was destroyed during takeoff from the base in Guam, marking the first and only unit lost. In 2010, another suffered severe damage caused by an electrical fire, requiring prolonged restoration before returning to service. Its high cost and intensive maintenance make it an elite aircraft, piloted by a very limited number of carefully selected aviators. The selection process for pilots is rigorous and considers not only technical skill but also psychological endurance, since missions can last over 40 hours, demanding flawless reflexes and the ability to remain composed under extreme fatigue. For Jack Northrop, aviation visionary and creator of the flying wing concept, the development of the B-2 Spirit was the fulfillment of a dream. In 1980, already weakened by age, he had the chance to see a model of the stealth bomber before it was revealed to the public. At 84 years old, he declared emotionally, "Now I know why God kept me alive the last 25 years. He passed away a few months later, in 1981, but his legacy was immortalized in the B-2 project. Even after decades of service, the B-2 continues to be constantly updated, with improvements in communications, avionics, and weapon systems. It remains one of the 3 pillars of the US nuclear deterrence strategy, alongside intercontinental ballistic missiles and strategic submarines. With its first flight expected later this decade, the B-21 Raider was conceived to be the core of America's future air power, integrating the most advanced technologies in sensors, communications, and weaponry. Unlike the B-2, which was based on 1980s technology, the B-21 will be a 6th-generation aircraft with full data integration, enhanced electronic warfare capabilities, and an even stealthier design. The Raider will be cheaper and easier to maintain than the B-2, allowing for the construction of a significantly larger fleet. It will also have the capability to operate with or without a crew, an unprecedented feature for stealth bombers. With a fuselage designed to maximize stealth and reduce the need for constant maintenance, the B-21 will be more efficient and flexible, capable of carrying out both nuclear and conventional strike missions with unprecedented global reach. If the B-2 Spirit is the most stealthy bomber ever built, the B-21 Raider will take this technology to a new level, becoming practically undetectable and ensuring US air supremacy. But war has never been just about technology. It's also about strategy, courage, and the unexpected. And the unexpected happened many times across many wars. One of them was in Vietnam's scene of one of the longest and most brutal conflicts of the 20th century. In the midst of that chaos, an unlikely and underestimated aircraft would confront one of the most feared fighters in the world. How was it possible that an OV-1 Mohawk shot down a MiG? The answer will surprise you. See you in 5 seconds.